Well, as Assad was just referring to, between 2010 and 2012, Tehran accused Israel and the United States of carrying out targeted killings of 4 Iranian scientists. First up, the renowned physicist Masoud Ali Mohammadi was killed when a remote-controlled bomb went off outside his home. That was in January 2010. Tehran hanged a 24-year-old Iranian for the killing, accusing him of being an Israeli intelligence agent. In November of that year, nuclear scientist and engineer Majid Shahriar was killed. Attackers on motorbikes attached bombs to his car as he drove to work. And in July 2011, the nuclear scientist Dariush Rezai-Nejad was killed in front of his home in the capital. And that was after 2 gunmen on motorcycles opened fire. And then in January of 2012, Mustafa Ahmadi Roshan was killed after a bomb was attached to his car. He supervised a department at the Natanz uranium enrichment facility. So let's explore this further. We can bring in Adnan Tabatabai, in Bonn, in Germany. He's a policy consultant on Iranian affairs. So those killings that we've just listed there, they took place between 2010 and 2012. Now we have this 8 years on. What's your assessment of what's happened here?
I strongly believe we need to call it what it is. It's actually short of a military invasion. This is how war on Iran can take place in the year 2020. We have had in January this year the assassination of General Haj Qasem Soleimani, which took place on Iraqi soil, and now we have this targeted assassination on Iranian soil. Obviously, we don't know yet who is behind this, but of course, given the past 1 or 2 or 3 weeks and the many trips also that U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo had into the region, there is a lot of indication, but at the same time, a lot of speculation about Israel being behind it. So, of course, on the one hand, we should call it a war on Iran, but at the same time, not draw conclusions too early.
Of course, yes. It does, though, come at a time when tensions have been very high between the United States and Iran, and the 2015 nuclear deal being brought into focus. Donald Trump has raised the stakes, hasn't he?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's and I would also really point to the people around Donald Trump. For Donald Trump himself, it's difficult to imagine why he would want further escalation with Iran, but let's think of Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, his very, very ideological approach towards the region, and giving something to his allies in the region, in particular Israel. That's why that would make sense. But again, I mean, we will obviously have to wait and see. But the type of operation very much would link to an Israeli intelligence operation.
Yes, we have to emphasize we do not know, of course, who's responsible. What's your sense, and we've had some reaction out of Iran already, what's your sense of how they may react sort of physically?
What I have been observing in the past months, and actually even throughout the Trump presidency, is that the Iranian side has understood very well that the U.S. approach is meant to either drag Iran from an extremely weakened position to the negotiating table, or to drag Iran into committing a big mistake that could lead to an all-out war. And I think this latter aspect is important here, that some sort of provocations that can happen through some cyber attacks, media smear campaigns, some operations in Iraq or Syria is one thing, but now an operation that has been carried out in Tehran. And I would expect Iran not to respond immediately, but to find a strategy to do that at a much later stage, and maybe not in similar fashion, but to try it politically in the same way that the Iranian officials said the revenge for the killing of Qasem Soleimani would be to oust the U.S. from the region, rather than now attacking the U.S. troops in the region, for example. So I would rather see it in this light.
Adnan.